Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Mahala. This channel is a channel of furniture flipping, the occasional DIY project, and any other projects that I can think of along the way. Today's project is this bad boy behind me right here. It is a small dresser. It's got 4 drawers and then a little drawer at the top, which I've been told is for ties. So I think it's a little men's dresser. A men's little dresser. Probably a better way of saying it. The first step is to remove the hardware, then to give it a clean with some Dawn dish soap, make it all nice and ready for me to sand before I pop on some paint. Let's jump into it and see how we go. I've got my 2-compartment carrier. I think it's supposed to be to carry all of your bits and pieces for cleaning, but I'm using it for water. This side is soapy with my Dawn dish soap, and then the other side is just plain water. Because this is so glossy, I will have to give it a wipe back with a dry cloth anyway afterwards. And I can't remove the drawers because they've got wooden dowels in there that are preventing me from actually taking them out, which is kind of frustrating, but we live with it. So this piece is a little bit dusty, but it's not too bad. The water has definitely changed color, of course, because there's some dirt and dust. It's much better than some other pieces that I've had to clean up recently, so I'm pretty happy about that. It was definitely kept in quite a nice house. I think that probably lent itself. Although there was a sock in there, so I mean, you just never know, I guess. So we're all done with the cleaning. The next step is to give this a scuff sand because it is super glossy. I just need to make sure that the paint's going to adhere, and I'll probably do a priming coat as well. To scuff sand this piece, I'm going to use my Bosch orbital sander. I will be using a 120 grit, and hopefully that just gives me enough to scuff sand it. And then I've got my Festool dust extractor. Safety vest. I've just finished scuff sanding this. Originally what I was going to do is use this Fusion Ultra Grip as the base, but because this is quite a dark piece, I actually think that I'm going to use a shellac primer instead, just to make sure that I don't get any bleed through. I am using a dark color, so it probably would be okay. I'd rather be safe than sorry. Although this is amazing, especially if you have a laminate piece that you're wanting to go over, this is really good. But for now, I'm going to clean this up from the sanding residue that's there, and then I'm going to do a paint mix. With my paints, I'm going with a mix between these two. So we've got Midnight Blue by Fusion Mineral Paint and Liberty Blue by Fusion Mineral Paint. And you can see that this one's a lot brighter, this one's a lot darker, but I'm kind of wanting something in between. And then I've done up a pot so that I can basically mix my own color, and I've done it in every half cup. Definitely creating a mess. I am very good at creating messes. Before I start priming, I'm going to tape. I just want to make certain that I've got really clean lines. So I'm going to do a little bit of taping around the drawers, and especially this top small drawer as well. now it's time to prime. I'm going to use a roller to prime, and then I will use a brush to paint afterwards, but hopefully this gets it on nice and quick. I've let the primer dry. That's been drying for about probably close to 2 hours now. It definitely needs a little bit of a buff out. I'm going to try these finishing pads for the first time. They're between coats finishing pads. I've never used them before. Usually I will go for a sandpaper, so we'll see how these go. If not, then I'll use probably a 320 grit sandpaper just to smooth out any of those lines and imperfections. Let's buff this out and then get to painting. I can already tell that this is not quite buffing it in the way that I would like it to. I think that it would be good for between paint coats, but not necessarily with the priming coat. So I'm actually going to grab a sandpaper. I think I've got a sanding block somewhere. So I'm going to grab that and use that instead. So now I just have to give it a wipe down to get rid of any of that dust that I kicked up with my sanding block on the primer, and then start painting. It's ready to paint. There's a trick that I learned from another YouTuber, Black Sheep House. I'm going to grab a roller because I have to keep the drawers closed while I do my painting, which is not something that I have done before. Now I know that Shannon over at Black Sheep House does this all the time. She's got a small space where she doesn't have that much room to pull things apart and paint, so she keeps her drawers closed. Her stuff always looks amazing, and she's got a technique of eliminating brush strokes and also managing that while keeping the drawers closed, which is where you paint it on with a brush and then you just go over the top of it with a dry roller. So I'm gonna give that a go today. Shout out to Shannon from Black Sheep House. If you haven't checked out her channel, she does loads of furniture flips and she's got some incredible techniques on there as well. So go check her out. I'm gonna give this a go and get to painting now, and fingers crossed it all goes really well. Dresser has had a couple hours to dry. It's now time to go back over it. I'm gonna try this between coats sponge again and see how it goes. It's definitely gonna need a second coat and probably a third coat, so let's give this a bit of a buff and then get that second coat on there. Look how nice that's going on. I'm so thrilled with it. Fusion Mineral Paint is zero VOC paint. It's actually got a primer and a top coat all included in the paint, so it is an all-in-one paint, so you don't actually have to do what I did with the primer. It was just, I just felt safer doing it, so when in doubt, just prime. If you don't need to prime, don't do it. It's definitely extra work, that's for sure. And then it's got the top coat included. I do really love the top coats that Fusion Mineral Paint have. and I like the look that it gives. So for this piece I will actually be using a top coat by Fusion mineral paint anyway, even though it's all included. It's just my personal preference. I love this paint and I love that it is all included, so if I don't have to do it, then you know, that's always an option, or if I don't want to do it. But I want to do it, so I will. Finally, we're doing the third coat, which I am so hoping is the last coat. There's a small part of me that thinks maybe I'll have to do a fourth coat, just because I put that very white primer underneath. The second coat gave really good coverage compared to the first, so hopefully the third just knocks it out of the park, and if there's any touch-ups I can just do that as they come. I'm gonna give it another quick buff and then jump right in and get this third, final coat. Final? We'll roll with that. Final coat on, and then all that's left will be top coat and staging for photos. It has been a couple days for me actually since I've done any work on this. For you it's just been a couple seconds, so perfect. I did pop down the next day after doing all of the painting that I filmed, just to do a couple touch-ups here and there. Didn't really feel like that needed to be filmed, so today I'm finishing this piece, hopefully. I've got all of this hardware here that needs to be spray painted. Part of why I will be spray painting it is that the hardware here is a bit muted in its tone, and also it doesn't match. We've got, this is at the top and this is much darker, and then this, it's just sort of more of a greeny gold. I'm gonna get these spray painted. I'm also putting in some wallpaper on the drawers. So I got this wallpaper here. I'm gonna try and match the hardware to this. That's like a fun design, something simple. It goes quite well, I think, with this style. I'm super excited to see how it goes. I'm not the best at putting a wallpaper draw liner in. I've definitely done it once before and it was a huge challenge. It did work out in the end, but it was by no means easy for me. Hopefully my second time doing it will be much easier. Fingers crossed it all works out. So I'm just setting this up to do some spray painting, and I like to make little holes like this in my cardboard for the screws, just to give them something to hold on to. It just makes it easier for me to spray paint. And I'm gonna get this spray painted with the bronze satin. That's the French side. Satin bronze. It's a Rust-Oleum metallic spray paint. It's paint and primer in one. I think that this is probably going to be the closest color to the wallpaper. I do have another gold, but it's just a little bit too green in its undertone, so I think that this is the way that I'm going to go for today. I'm just gonna let that spray paint dry, come back in maybe like 15-20 minutes and give it a second coat. Then I am going to flip it over and do the same thing. So probably it'll end up being 2 coats on each side, just to make sure that I've got all of the coverage I need. Some of the things won't need 2 coats because I only need to do one side, but, well, you know what I mean. Some of them won't need to be flipped over because I only need to do one side. We'll leave that for now, come back in 15 minutes and keep going with the wallpaper. So I got this wallpaper on Amazon, which I'll link below. You can see there's like a lovely texture going on in the actual design, which just like I had no idea about, and it adds a nice little extra element to it. So time to measure this out. I'm measuring out 4 pieces for each of the drawers at 22 inches, which is a rough approximate. I think that they're a little bit closer to 21 and, 5/8 or something like that. So I just went with 22 inches to make it easier for myself. Once I got them in the drawers, I used my X-Acto knife to trim the edges. Now I really struggled with this because my X-Acto knife was going a little bit wayward and ended up cutting sections of the peel and stick wallpaper that I didn't want it to. So I ended up taking it off and throwing it away and trying a completely different method of measuring the drawer liner using a pencil and tape and then cutting out the exact shape. Because this dresser has a curve on the front, it makes it a little bit tricky to get a precise measurement. So even when I did this, it wasn't perfect. I tried different ways of putting the drawer liners in. It was a challenge, to say the least. And here you can see me almost having an emotional breakdown over peel and stick wallpaper. Honesty moment. Peel and stick wallpaper is the bane of my existence. I've wasted so much wallpaper. It's ridiculous. I'm really thrilled that I bought 2 packets because even though I had enough for all 4 drawers with just 1 packet, I have now used, I think, 1.5 of the rolls. I've got like a little bit left. Yeah, it's been a time. It is super tricky to use. Just watching people on YouTube do it for cabinets, for drawer liners on their walls, it looks so simple, and I don't know what skill I'm missing, but there's definitely something that is not clicking for me. If you've got any recommendations on how to use peel and stick wallpaper, if you've got tips or hacks or anything that could make this easier, please let me know in the comments below. I definitely want to learn. I think I'm going to use wallpaper more frequently with my flips just so that I can get better at it. It's going to be an expense because obviously I don't have those mad skills. I really want to be good at it because I think it really elevates some furniture pieces and makes them look super beautiful. So give me your tips, hacks, comments, whatever you can. I will read them. I will try them out. I ended up removing 2 of the drawer liners. Even after I thought that I was finished, I was still not happy. So I ended up removing 2 of those. I used the very last of the wallpaper. There was nothing left. I was super anxious because I thought if I don't get this right, I'm gonna make a big old mess and I'm gonna have to buy more. This genius right here thought, hey, why don't I use a ruler to keep my X-Acto knife straight? It helped so much, not with the curved edge of course, but with those 2 sides, it was perfection. We're on the home stretch now. I just need to pop a top coat on this, and I'm going to use the clear tough coat by Fusion Mineral Paint with my Country Chic sponge. With the Fusion Mineral Paint top coat, it's a non-yellowing matte top coat. It does say to be sure to wait 12 hours after painting before you put on the top coat. And for best results, apply evenly with a damp applicator sponge. That just helps to avoid streaking. The time has finally come where I can put the hardware onto this dresser, get it finished, staged for photos. I'm so excited to see the final product and I can't wait to show you how it all turns out. Check this guy out. What a babe. I'm very proud of myself for trying a new skill. I'm still very much learning how to do furniture flipping and the ins and outs of everything that is involved in that process, but this was super fun, minus the small moment with the wallpaper panic, but I got there in the end, and that's what's important. Thank you for watching this video today. I hope that you enjoyed watching the process of my furniture flip. I've completely fallen in love with furniture flipping, but I am still new to this process, so if you've got any tips or tricks up your sleeve, remove them from your sleeve and put them in the comments below so that then I can know about them as well. If you love furniture flipping as much as I do, and if you're interested in coming on this journey with me, hit that subscribe button. And while you're at it, hit the bell notification as well. That way you'll be notified when I upload a new furniture flip video every single week. You'll also be notified when I upload videos of DIY projects and any other projects that I can come up with. With the way that this dresser is looking right now, you may not remember what it looked like before, so let's take a look. Let's get started flipping. Let's get flippy. I feel like I need a catchphrase, you know, like Kim Possible, or who else has a catchphrase? Buffy the Vampire Slayer, you know, something a little bit corny and lame, but awesome. Let's flip it. No. You know what? You guys decide. Let me know in the comments below, please. Help me.